Okay, all right. I knew I was taking a risk when I made that video, but overall the comments aren't that bad. Certainly nothing I can't live with.
What'd you say about Bernie?
A few days ago, I made a big deal about launching Apptrepreneur 2.0, and one of the things is that I was going to turn this, what was at one point a Uber-centric focus channel, into new directions, and we were going to talk about the company less and less, and in fact, we might not be talking about Uber much at all. A few days later, we're talking about Uber. Way to walk that one back really fast. That didn't take very long. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here and you happen to like what you see, I would, hey, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. We have nearly daily videos being uploaded, and yeah, we also have live streams, premieres. You'll want to be notified of all this stuff. So anyway, some of you might be looking at me like kind of rolling your eyes, like, well, see, Kevin, you're not getting away from Uber. You're still going to be doing Uber. I guess the whole Apptrepreneur 2.0 thing was not a big deal. Chill, guys. Here's the thing. I meant what I said. I actually am reporting this story late on purpose. I had this story in hand a few days ago, and I decided, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to be one of the last ones to watch it. I know Riot's Your Professor and Driving with Dustin will definitely cover it before I will, maybe even the guy from Chicago, but I decided, you know what, no, I want to talk about other things, and I'm going to stick with that. That said, big things like this are still stuff I want to talk about. I might not be able to talk about every little airport kerfuffle or every little local lawsuit against these companies. However, when Uber and Postmates band together to sue the state of California, well, that has me interested. It's like, you know what? New direction be darned. I want to talk about this. So let's look at this article from Bloomberg. Uber Technologies Inc. and Postmates Inc. sued the state of California, alleging that a labor rights law set to go into effect this week is unconstitutional. The lawsuit filed Monday in Los Angeles federal court is a preemptive strike against the state's landmark measure designed to ensure gig workers receive employment protections. Uber and Postmates argue that legislative process around California's Assembly Bill AB5 unfairly targeted gig economy companies while favoring other industries, and that the law will threaten workers' flexibility. They're kind of right about that. It did target the gig economy, but I would argue it was not unfairly. It targeted them because they exploited loopholes that should not have been exploited. And they exploited people the way that other independent contractor working relationships did not exploit the workers. So yes, this AB5 bill probably should have been called the Uber bill, or the rideshare bill, or the gig economy bill. It should have been pretty apparent about what it was, especially now that it's hurting industries that it was not intended to hurt. But it is targeting them, but it's targeting them, I would argue, for good reason. The passage of AB5, which takes effect Wednesday, has set in motion a bitter dispute about the rights of Uber drivers, food couriers, and other people who derive their income from apps made in Silicon Valley working as independent contractors. I would argue side income. Very, very few people are making full-time livings at this. Uber and Postmates say it's arbitrary that direct salespeople, travel agents, grant writers, construction truck drivers, commercial fishermen, and others are exempted from the law. No, it's actually not arbitrary, Uber and Postmates. You want to know why? Here's the thing. In those fields, you negotiate your rates. You negotiate your pay, you negotiate your hours, and you know what the job will entail before you accept it. Now, granted, because of AB5, right now in California, there should be a statewide change to the app in which you will now know how long the ride is going to be, roughly where it is going, and roughly how much you will make from that ride. That is because of AB5 and because they want to be as transparent, because this is what you need to do to truly be an independent contractor. So the bill, if it is targeting Uber and Lyft, are targeting them because they are the ones breaking the law and not following the rules. That's how this works. The impact of AB5 and the backlash against it extends beyond the technological industry. Two organizations representing freelance journalists brought a legal challenge this month, saying that the law restricts free speech in the news media by effectively limiting the number of articles a contract journalist can write for the same publication each year. I will admit that is a problem, and they probably should have figured that out before it was passed. And by the way, this, full disclosure, actually does affect me. Thankfully, YouTube is not considered freelance work technically, even though I'm making pretty good money on it. So, loopholes, like I said. The trucking industry, in its own lawsuit, says the measure would make it impractical, if not impossible, to use contractors for services across state lines. But tech companies have far more at stake financially if they are forced to provide overtime pay, healthcare, and other benefits to the armies of contract laborers they rely on to drive customers around and deliver food. With their business models threatened, DoorDash Inc., Lyft Inc., and Uber have said they'll spend a combined $90 million on a campaign asking California voters to overturn the law in the next election. Lyft and Uber have each committed to turning a profit by the end of 2021, a promise that could be unattainable if they're forced to reclassify workers in their home state. So basically, if they're forced to pay their drivers wages they can live off of and control, then they're not going to make it. Yeah, no, that's not that's not shady at all. The labor issue looms as a risk for Postmates as it heads toward a planned initial public offering, which is interesting. I honestly thought that they were scrapping that IPO and that they were looking for a buyer, but maybe that's still on. The food delivery company agreed to pay about $11.5 million to settle misclassification claims brought to couriers in California. Last month, a judge expressed significant concerns with the deal and sought more information. In Monday's complaint, Uber, Postmates, and one driver from each company who are also plaintiffs said they want a judge to block AB5 from being implemented. They allege that the law violates guarantees of equal protection afforded by both the U.S. Constitution and the California Constitution. That's always the answer. It's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional, man. Like, the establishment is trying to beat us down. Unfortunately, all joking aside, this is something that they could probably easily get them on. I don't know how many people here have seen The Corporation. It's a documentary. It's honestly, the documentary is way too long. It should be a 2-hour documentary. It's like 2.5 hours. But if you watch it in 2 sittings, it's very fascinating. And one of the ways that companies get away with basically doing really shady stuff sometimes is that under the law, corporations are classified as a person. And so when you're a person, you have freedom of speech and you're protected by the First Amendment, and that creates a lot of problems. I mean, I believe in capitalism with regulation, but that little rule in and of itself creates a lot of our problems. And I don't think it should be there because, no, a corporation is not a person. A corporation is made of people, but a corporation is a business. And it has a lot of people, usually with one goal in mind, trying to make money. And, you cannot honestly classify that one corporation as a person when there are usually thousands of people, all of with different interests involved in that. So, that's just my thought. So here's the thing. The one clear thing we know about Uber is that they will do anything to try to exempt themselves from state regulations that make us all safer and their driver employees self-sufficient, said, who said this? Did I miss a paragraph? Lorena Gonzalez. No. She's never returned my calls to be interviewed on this channel, by the way. In the meantime, Uber chief executives will continue to become billionaires while too many of their drivers are forced to sleep in their cars. It is true that this is kind of a kamikaze thing. Like, this is a kamikaze, it's a Hail Mary, whatever you want to call it. And people might be asking at this point, why would Uber and Postmates be filing the lawsuit now? Pretty much at the beginning of the new year. Why would they be doing this? Like, they knew this was coming for a long time. Why didn't they file sooner? And here's the reason why, I believe. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and this could be wrong. So if I am wrong, please correct me below. But I've been watching what's going on in London, and pretty much as long as they're fighting something in court, they can keep running a business the way they want to via the status quo. I think they waited till the last possible minute to file this because they don't want to turn their drivers into employees. They don't want to implement some of these changes. And thus, if they can sue them, then guess what? Maybe they can run their business the way they want a little bit longer, at least until the elections come along, where they will definitely try, and I think they will succeed in getting an amendment on the ballot to overturn AB5. And I believe people will vote on it, unfortunately. So, I believe that's why they're doing this, and they're not stupid. They're not stupid. I mean, heck, if they can convince people to work for peanuts all these years while not changing at all and saying that they are, they're probably smarter than I give them credit for. So, here's the thing. Signed by California Governor Gavin Newsom in September, AB5 says workers can generally only be considered contractors if they perform duties outside the usual course of a company's business. The law adopted a more straightforward test than previously existed in California to determine which workers qualify for employee status and the attendant benefits. Legal experts say the law weakens gig economy companies' arguments that their drivers are independent contractors. It will make it much harder for them to continue denying California drivers benefits, including business expense reimbursements that would ordinarily be available to employees. Yep, there you have it. I mean, look, here's the thing. Everyone says that, look, here's the thing. Even if you want to remain an independent contractor in all of this, you have to be honest with yourself. When the company is fighting against you and saying, hey, we know what's best, this is the company that said, we know what's best for the drivers, and what's best for the driver is like, scale pay, 90% cut and weight, just no benefits, not knowing what they're getting into, arbitrary deactivations, like this, and this is the company that's defending you, that says that they know what you want. They don't have your interests and hearts, they have their interests and hearts. And the reason they're fighting it is because their interests don't align with yours. Uber has acknowledged the higher hurdle AB5 poses for the company, but has said the law is no magic wand that changes gig worker status on January 1st, and said the company has argued that the fight will need to be resolved by the courts. And that's another thing about all this. Why is it that Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, all these companies, before going into this, they're like, oh, yeah, AB5 is not going to affect us. Like, our drivers are independent contractors. It won't affect us at all. Okay, so you're spending $90 million and suing the state of California over a law that has no effect on you. None whatsoever. Yeah, I don't trust these guys. I don't trust them. You shouldn't trust them. California Attorney General Javier Becerra's office is reviewing Monday's complaint. A representative said this is what it is. So, yeah, I knew things would get ugly with AB5 this year. I mean, I didn't want to only be talking about this, but it's going to get very ugly, and we will continue to talk about it. So, I do believe this is a Hail Mary. I believe they're trying to delay it as much as they can because they want to run business as usual for as long as they can, preferably until they're profitable, which does not appear to be happening anytime soon. But that's the story, and actually the sad thing is, it's like I actually filmed this video before, and it was like a good 22 minutes. I had a lot to say about this, and then because of an audio glitch, it was just ruined, and I had to remake it into this. So I think I used a lot of my juice up on that one, and it pisses me off. I mean, growing pains of starting a new format, I know. But hey, maybe this is all that needs to be said, and it's a lot shorter now. And what do all of you folks think? Do you think Uber and Lyft have a chance at succeeding in this lawsuit, or getting something on the ballot that will overturn AB5? And, well, I always ask, like, do you even want AB5 to be in effect? I always love to know. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.